Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of the O's Talk. Today we're going to be interviewing Onosakihito. How you doing, Ono?
Pretty good, thank you. Hi.
That's good. And we also have today with us a different change in co-hosts. Charles is away and we have Deadbeat taking up the slack for him. How you doing, Deadbeat?
Hey guys, I'm back.
Alright, so we're not going to keep you guys too long today. We're going to try to speed the format up a little bit. We've been getting a little bit of complaints here and there about size, so we want to try to work on that, make sure the community enjoys what we're putting out. So we're going to open up with the first question here. Onosaki, what got you into O's? Was it the Taiko game mode alone, or did you also enjoy the standard aspects?
Well, first of all, I should say that I started in the past, or that I played first only MMORPGs and the game Threads on Fire. And that's actually where everything started with the rhythm games. In Threads on Fire, I played Threads on Fire for a really long time. I also mapped there several songs, but it was always kind of sad to map offline maps and have no one you can chat to, so you feel kind of lonely. So after some time, a friend of mine in the real life, he knew that I like such stuff, playing to the music, making maps and so on. And then once he came to my home place and showed me a new game mode, which was Taiko on the iPhone. And yeah, he was like, yeah, you could try that, it's a really nice game and you could just try it and see if you like it. So yeah, I started playing it and it was a pretty nice game, following the beat, pretty simple and so on. And I really got used to the game, and after some time I played on the iPhone. I was like, hey, maybe there is an online version for this, since on Threads on Fire I felt lonely as well, and in Taiko there isn't even an editor for mapping. So I was searching in Google for Taiko Online, and yeah, it appeared that Taiko was in Osu. Yeah, available.
Okay, so you started off with Threads on Fire, and now I know, like you said, one of the things is it was a little bit lonely on there, and but it is. Now I'm stuttering a little bit. It does actually have a pretty open source when it comes to its editor scene, though. I mean, there were lots of map packs made for Threads on Fire, and it did do pretty decent there for a while. Would you say that you enjoyed the editor system in Threads on Fire, or would you say that it was kind of hard to work with?
To be honest, I didn't get the editor up to date. I just jumped into the editor and checked how to map something, and the offset was really terrible, and I didn't know how to fix this problem. So I rather mapped on the wrong offset on every song. I don't know. Every one of us has done that at some point.
That's like me with the Dance Dance Revolution editor. I didn't know how to set the BPM on that or nothing. So quick question then, and we might know the answer to it based on what you just said before, though. When you were around when Taiko was, were you around when Taiko was just a mod instead of a full-fledged game mode for OS, or did you get there when they had established it as its own game mode?
Well, I think I missed it change for a few months. I was pretty close to it. I guess Mittens was one of the people who has experienced the mode being, or the game mode being a mod.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I appeared to start with also when there were some radical change in ranking. That was when also the mainstream started of having new players and so on. So yeah, I just know it was a mod, but I never experienced it in this way at all.
Yeah, what about you, Deadbeat? Were you around when it was just a mod?
No, by the time I got here, Taiko and Catch the Beat were already nipping the game modes.
Well, see, I'm my old showing, but I remember when it was just a mod, and you could score on it regularly, how you'd score on an OS map and everything. And it was really weird transition changes. when that happened, because a lot of people weren't really mapping specifically for Taiko per se. They were mapping, standard maps, and then you just use a mod to convert it, and you just get to try it out like that. And that was back when everything was just kind of brand new, and everybody wanted the test build because of these new modes that were coming out. People were talking about Catch the Beat, and it was this huge thing blowing people's minds. But so to move on to our third question today, as you have been here quite a long time, and you're an outstanding member of the Taiko community, what do you got to say about Aqua Blue's maps? He had a huge Taiko thread.
Oh yeah, the huge Taiko thread. Well, first of all, actually I have to say that I was a sinner by playing converted Taiko maps at the beginning. And after that I started to play Taiko specific divs such as Lepidopterus climbs or Chris maps. Those were the most common one. And as you said, Aquablue's maps, well, I got known to them because of his huge thread he has made, which has already about 2,000 posts, I guess. Yeah,
about 2,100 pages.
Yeah, even more. Anyway, I got because of this I got known to his maps, and due to his big thread, well, anyway, how to say it, well, his maps overall, he provides a lot of TNT maps, which made it even for me possible to gain some experience about these kind of mapping, because after all there are some differences, in OSU mapping and TNT. And also I want to add that Aquablue's maps themselves I really enjoy to play as well, such as Leppy's maps, Climbs and Chris, since he was also one of the leading mappers back then, and if I'm not mistaken, he was also beside Sekira and Arten, one of the guys who made Taikosu maps. So a mix of OSU and Taiko maps.
Yeah, some really old names there, but for people that might not know what a Taikosu map is there for a little bit during transition between giving the mode its standalone, like pure standalone. As before, you could make Taiko difficulties, but not specific. And this caused a lot of problems for the Taiko community, as they couldn't rank stuff. They couldn't get anything ranked unless it worked in both O Standard and in Taiko. And that was a bit of a problem. So a few mappers came up with a very interesting mapping style that actually managed to keep Taiko's authentic gameplay, yet still follow a very thin guideline to the O Standard ranking criteria, and they called them Taiko's maps. I mean, eventually they did get ruled out as time went on. They were producing more and more lackluster standard maps, but their Taikos were amazing. But as time went, we finally were able to get Taiko only specifics, and that cleared all that up.
Just wondering, how long did it take you to start mapping Taiko? Like, did you jump straight in?
I didn't understand it right now. Can you repeat it once again?
How long did it take you to start mapping Taiko maps, just while we're on the subject?
Oh, well, if I'm honest, I started mapping when I jumped into OSU, the very first day.
Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
I did the same thing, just not to very good results.
Yeah, the first guy who really checked my very first map was Rokodo, and he was like, "Gosh, man, oh no, the timing is wrong, the patterns are not good. You are not allowed to use 118 patterns," and I was like, "Okay, sorry." So yeah, that's how I started actually to map.
Sweet.
And so for our fourth main question here, what's one of the factors that you take most to heart when you're creating for the Taiko game mode?
Well, I think first I should say that my view changed over the last 4 years, of course. As you said, at the beginning we had no rules, and Taiko has become an established mode, and we were able to get ranked some Taiko difficulties, and well, we had no route, so we were able to do whatever we wanted to do, you know. And so my first factor was that there wasn't even a factor, because that was my experimental phase. So I just mapped whatever I wanted, was searching for my style, and well, was just going on without having a big modding scene or something like that. And after some time, I got also to hard mapping beside Nyan and fires, or however you call them, fires. Yeah, and well, after some time I tried to improve my mapping, of course, because I realized that some of my old maps weren't that good, since they are made in my experimental phase, as I said before. You know, I made, I think, from 2011 to 12 about 200 maps, and I guess more than half of it isn't really that good at all. And nowadays I still didn't find my real style at all. I still map what I like to map, but unlike the past where I needed 15 up to 30 minutes to make one single map, nowadays I need several days to finish one map.
And would you say that's because, you know, quality's reached such a high bar that, you know, you're trying to put more quality into it, as to where before, like you said, we could just do whatever we wanted back in the day. You just slap some stuff on the editor, and as long as it was timed slightly right, you know, everybody'd be like, thumbs up, that's good. You know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and sometimes I have to say I kind of feel bad of what I mapped before, but you know,
everybody's got their demons, man. There's plenty of maps I've looked back in the editor and went, why?
But the thing is, you don't need to feel ashamed, you know. Sometimes people see my old maps and say, man, damn, Ono, you mapped some pretty shit maps. And I'm like, well, maybe, but they are a part of me, you know.
Yep. And back then they were the stuff. Everybody loved them.
Yeah, they were the stuff. And looking back then, I guess I got a lot of experience, and that's really something I have to appreciate. And to come back to the actual question, the reason for this, you know, to come back to the actual question is that I try to make the map fit to the song as good as possible. And that takes even several remaps of a single map until I can find something that applies to me.
Yeah.
So,
well, I was playing one of your I was playing one of your maps for one of the skin showcases I made. It's really quite fun to play. A lot better than most of the converter maps I tried.
So,
Good maps.
He's like, which one? He's like, which one?
I didn't understand.
Tokumiru Kage? No, that's not right. Tokumiru Kage or something like that.
He was talking about one of your maps being decent that he played earlier. He was giving you praise.
Oh, okay, thank you. I guess I mean, at least one map of those 200 should be somehow decent.
Yeah.
But anyway, the factor I take the most into my heart, just to make it clear, is the overall building of a map, which should fit to the song in a fair way, never mind what style I'm using, you know. Many people have a spreaded view about my mapping, is it nowadays or in the past, because I'm not sticking only to one style, I'm also mapping on vocals sometimes beat mapping, or even putting my own beats in, you know. And as I said, I've made several mistakes in the past which I wasn't even aware of back then, but I took the advantages and learned out of it.
Okay.
That's about all you can do, really. Just look back at your mistakes and learn how to not do them again.
Yep. Building off past failures or building off past successes sometimes. It just all depends on what you want to do. Okay, so for our next question here, and I could be very wrong with this one because my Taiko history isn't up to par, but correct me if I'm wrong, didn't you host the first Taiko World Cup or had something to do with it?
Well, I didn't host it directly. Actually, Lepidopoulos is the one who hosted it, who brought up the idea, and I think Loctave told me before that nowadays rules in all World Cups are coming from Lepidopoulos rules, because the rule set was already so good that we were able to take it as well. And yeah, anyway, as I said, I didn't host the TVC. I was a player back then in TVC 1 and 2, but I still helped with several things which people probably don't even know since I was a player. But of course I wasn't allowed to see the map pools. I mean, since it would have been unfair, of course. But even so, I had a lot of discussions back then with Leppy and VMF Chris in these 2 tournaments. But as some of you guys know, now I'm a map selector.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you said you were a player in the first 2. Did you start doing the map selections for the 3rd one?
Yeah, exactly. In the first 2 I was a player, and in TVC 3 and 4 I was the map selector.
You're looking forward to the next one? The 2014? No, 2015 one.
Yeah, I will participate there as map pool selector again.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm also even already searching for new maps and having already some lists, so the guys can stay tuned.
What do you think of the 2014 one, the one we had this year?
2015, that would be...
What did you think of the 2014 one?
Oh, yeah, well, that's my personal opinion, of course, but I think the map pools were a bit better than the previous one. I mean, you know, we had already 3 World Cups, and of course you gain experience of the previous ones, so somehow you have to improve. You know, and we had also a new system in the map pool by having some slower songs for the hidden picks and some faster songs for the hard rock picks, because the slower a BPM becomes on hidden, the harder it is to read the patterns, and the faster the BPM on hard rock it becomes, the harder to read becomes it as well. I don't know if I should explain it now, but I guess the Taiko guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'll trust you on that.
Well, I know what he's talking about a little bit there, due to the fact that I used to dabble with it. I mean, with hidden, the slower it is, like the less you actually get to see of the notes due to how it fades out. And with I don't know as much about hard rock because I mostly play hidden if I'm going to use a mod, to be honest. But one of the other things, though, while we're still on the heavy subject of like Taiko World Cup and all this stuff, is what kind of impact do you feel Taiko has made on the game and the community as a whole? Do you think it's been something positive? Do you think it's brought creative people, or what are your takes on it?
If I'm honest, I'm not really sure about this. I mean, there are positive aspects for sure, such as the boost for the community. I mean, if there wouldn't be the Taiko community, there would be, of course, some less users in Osu. Mm-hmm. And maybe a better understanding for beatwise mapping, because, you know, in Taiko that's really important, and in Osu, well, you have your circles, and the approach circle is kind of more important, if I'm not wrong. Well, you know, you see the beats in Taiko better than in Osu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a negative aspect, I guess, not really. Maybe in the past, you know, we had some disputes, some problems between the communities, but in this way we were able to learn from each other a lot of things. Is it mapping wise, modding, or something else? So yeah, I do believe it has a positive aspect here.
Okay. Well, for our next question, as we get closer and we start to get towards our user questions, what are your thoughts on our current Pipa Don mascot?
Well, even here I have to say I have no thoughts, because when I joined Osu and played Taiko, Pipa Don was just there, you know, and it would be kind of sad, I guess, if she somehow would disappear out of the sudden, because after all, Pipa Don is a part of Osu on her or its own way, and yeah, if she would suddenly disappear, maybe it would be kind of sad. In generally, I feel okay with her, of course.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody has to worry about Pipa Don disappearing for any amount of time. I think she's pretty much stuck there with her cute little derp face and her drum body.
Yeah.
Keep on dancing.
And if I'm not wrong, Crystal made Pipa Don back then. It's also one of the really old Taiko guys.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Who joined?
Isn't he selective? Like, I think he's still around, isn't he?
He's still around, yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually. Okay, and moving on to the 8th question. From a technical side, do you think there's one improvement that Taiko could grow from?
First of all, I should mention that Taiko in general is fine and doesn't need any big changes at all, if you ask me, because the gameplay is clean and the way of mapping simple. So there are no big changes needed, but I think it's about the small add-ons and fixes which together give Taiko a big improvement.
Sometimes you don't need the big changes though. Sometimes just like a little small change can change things quite a bit.
Yeah, exactly. And I have there some in my mind. As I said, in general the game mode is stable, but it still has bugs which should have been fixed in several years. And it's really bugging me and some other experienced Taiko guys. For example, we have sliders in Taiko, and there are also the slider tick rates, and you are able to hit them, unlike in Osu where you just go following the slider ball. And once a beat map or a song has a really low BPM, the slider tick rates become 180 notes, and that's really heavy. Or on high BPMs like 200, let's say 14,
they become real sparse.
Yeah, exactly, they become really sparse, and it's kind of really a problem. So it would be really nice if we could fix that by ourselves, like having an addition in the editor to change from 180 to 144.
One of the things that I've always felt could actually be an improvement is the fact that the playfield is substantially smaller than any other type of Taiko simulator out there. The playfield is substantially smaller.
Oh well, that got fixed already when the update for the widescreen has been made up. You are
the widescreen does extend it, but it's still nowhere near as large as the original one.
Well, if I'm not wrong, Jizo, one of our Taiko community members, said once before that we are missing half of a note or something like that, so it shouldn't be that urgent at all, I guess.
Oh no, it's definitely not urgent. It's just one of them little irks that I notice, and it's like, you know.
But yeah, you are right. Definitely, or yeah, but we have also other things, which should be maybe changed. Overall, everything is fine. The game mode is clean, simple, and so on. But stuff like sliders or sliders which are after 114 beat, which are becoming off beat, or even slider velocity changes are a big problem in our game mode. Since in Osu, you are able to go only up to multiple 2, but in Taiko that's kind of problematic, since especially in high BPM songs, if you are using some note which should slide in really fast, it overlaps the other notes, because multiple 2 is way too less for the game mode Taiko. So yeah, you see, these things are what would improve the game mode Taiko, and after this got fixed, I guess everything else should be fine. Maybe here and there some mod specific mods would be nice, such as alternative style and so on, but that's in the future. Maybe we will get it someday.
And I mean, definitely something to look out for, because I know OS is ever changing, and there's always a possibility that something could be added there. And for our last question here for you, before we get to our community questions here, as a longtime Batmender, Minder, oh yeah, as a longtime Bat member, what is your current stance on quality? Now that you've been given the role of quality assurance team member, so I mean, you're definitely up there. So how do you feel about quality now?
Well, it's kind of a question that I really get often confronted with, like every week or something like that. Anyway, if I'm honest, nothing changed at all for me. Like, really nothing. I nearly do the same things I did in my bat and non-bat time. Besides the fact that I disqualify more now, of course. Hence, my stance on quality didn't change that much at all. In my understanding, a map should be overall mapped in a balanced way without looking only a single pattern. After all, you know, patterns need to work well together. You can't just look at one pattern and okay, you say, hey, that's nice, and well, don't. Now I wanted to say the word. Don't give a. How else do we say?
Yeah, just don't give. We understand what you mean there, man.
Yeah, but that's what I think. Don't look. That we shouldn't look too much on one pattern, but rather look at the overall pictures. Then beside that, taking care of that gives a better understanding of having emphasis and curtain parts and impacts of patterns. You know, if you look at the overall picture of a beat map, you are able to understand how to emphasize curtain sections or give some patterns a better impact. And the last point about this is it should be always taken into account how the map fits into a set. Speed must be fine, for example.
Yes.
But I guess that's self-explaining. But yeah, I didn't went deep into details now, but that would be my stance on quality, which, by the way, the Giro mapping had some influence on it as well, or TNT, however you want to call it.
Yeah, and that's fine. And so we'll be moving on rather quickly here to our community questions, and we have the first one that was by Kiyanko. She's not here today, unfortunately. She had school, so we're going to go ahead and ask that for her. She asks, how do you feel about the Taiko mapping style used in OS compared to the authentic style in the original Taiko no Tatsujin games?
Well, I have two opinions here. The first one is I think we stick too much on one mapping way, which would be the beat mapping. That's of course my own opinion, not like that's the wrong way or something like that. I don't want to say that, but in this way it is kind of hard to show off different styles between mappers. You know, in the past it was kind of different, at least in my experience and feeling. But that's maybe because we stick much more to TNT mapping. But even so, in general, I'm actually satisfied with nowadays mapping. Sometimes we do have, in my opinion, exaggerated maps which follow a high BPM or something else that makes it harder, but we never reach a level of weird gimmicks such as real slow or high SV changes or finisher spams, which Namco reaches since some years already and really like to overtake it.
Yeah, definitely some things have gotten a little bit weird there in terms of authentic stuff. I mean, I've seen some of the really crazy patterns that they have there.
Yeah,
all right,
exactly.
though. That will open it up to any other people. So if anybody here has a question, feel free to type in the chat. We'll give you voice, and you could ask your question.
I think Dane does. Dane, did you want to ask a question?
All right, Panari also has a question here too. And seeing as Panari was the first person I saw in chat, we'll go ahead and unmute him first.
Already given Dane.
Well, good job there.
In hindsight, do you think that you should have taking advantage of the high BPM limit for hidden. Because it's like hidden has a lower and upper limit, whereas hard rock just has an upper limit.
Well, if I'm honest, I didn't understand the question right now.
Okay, so let me help out a little bit here.
Yeah,
Onosakihito, basically, I think his question results to the upper and lower limits of the hidden mod when we were talking about map pools for the Taiko World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Hidden also has an upper limit on hidden. Hidden has an upper limit as well as a lower limit. It does become hard to read as it gets faster too, because once it gets to a certain speed, you can't even see notes at all, really.
That upper limit is much higher than hard rock, but still, it's still existing.
Well, it does exist. I mean, you have limits when the BPM is too slow, but you have also limits when it's too high, since you are not able to read it anymore. But on hard rock, you have the advantage that on lower BPMs you are able to read them much easier, since the notes are more spreaded. But that doesn't mean that I do not read both modes equal, because both of them have their hard things and easy things. To put it in an easy way.
All right. Thank you there, Dane. And to help better explain a little bit, I think he's saying it's easier with hard rock to pick maps that are more difficult when the BPM is faster versus
lower.
Lower. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
We're all kinds of confused today at this talk. Anyways, let's go ahead and open up the next question here. Let me go ahead. Panari had the next question. We'll go ahead and open him up.
Alright.
There you go, Panari.
Hello.
Hey.
My question is more on the personal side, but where does your name come from? Because I find it pretty awesome.
Oh, thank you. Well, my name, that's actually a really big story. To make it short, in the past I played Ragnarok Online for 9 years, and I just wanted to have a proper name, or some name which isn't just random, which I can carry for more servers than just one. So I was thinking about what I could use. Then the name Hito appeared, which means people or human. That should normally say that I'm humanic or something like that back then. And then later Onosaki came into it as well as second name, because I thought having just the forename isn't enough, so let's just have another family name. And yeah, it took me some time to get the name out, to have a name which applies to me, which I like. But yeah, at the end I found Onosakihito, and since 7-8 years I'm using it now.
Damn, that's actually
Is it
pretty
just
cool.
me? It's just me, or do a lot of people play Ragnarok?
Yeah,
a lot of people play Ragnarok, man.
Yeah, a lot of them are coming from it. I heard it already in other interviews.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your question, Panari. We're going to go ahead and mute you so we can get lined up for the next one.
Alright, thanks.
Yeah, thank you too.
Okay, so if anyone else has a question, feel free to type it in the chat there. We'll get you added.
I guess Immortals is some interesting question.
Okay, do you
I've got one actually.
Okay. Well, just one moment here. Immortal S, do you have a microphone, or do you just want that to be in text? Just in text? That's not a problem. So Immortal has definitely asked why Ono really love I don't know how to pronounce that name.
It's Reiji.
Okay, and do you mind going into detail on that for him, Ono?
Sure, why not? After all, that character is representing me since all the years I'm in Osu. And it's a question many people normally ask me. Anyway, yeah, the reason why I like Utsuryoji is because first of all, I like birds, especially ravens, and she is a raven. Then I like physics really much, and she has a lot to do with physics, because of her cape, which shows the universes, or the atoms which are flying through her food. Then I like the color green, and of course he has a green ribbon and so on. And yeah, she's a bird brain, and that's somehow what I like at her. So yeah, that's the reason for it.
Okay, and Deadbeat has a question. Deadbeat, be sure not to confuse Onosakihito now, so ask your question calmly.
Oh, haha. You're talking about how you kind of got the Taiko game mode kind of fully up and running with Taiko rules and getting the game mode standalone and stuff. Like, what sort of effort went into that?
What was the last question?
Like, you put a lot of, you kind of helped revitalize Taiko by adding in rules, helping get the map sets ranked and stuff. Like, what sort of effort went into accomplishing this?
First of all, I should clarify that I wasn't the only one who did all the job, because...
no.
Yeah, but just saying, all the stuff I did so far has a lot of background, especially discussion-like, because the routes, for examples, I have really discussed for a really long time with people like Lepidopodos, WMF Chris, ABC, and all the other people from the old Taiko community. And you know, it was just we needed certain changes, so we just were discussing about it, and we're thinking about, okay, maybe we can do it in an official way, and that's how we proceeded. And every time, first we discussed, or someone brought up the idea. In most cases it was of course me, but then we discussed the stuff, put it into the forums, and try to get it official. And at the end, we achieved our how to say it, our goal, getting first the routes approved, then having sets being rankable, and at the end having bets.
All right.
Oh man, I bet you were happy when you finally got finished with that.
Oh yeah, trust me, I was really happy about it. And as you can see now, we can rank more stuff. Even talk in the past we didn't need any mod, but you know, that's a quality aspect at the end.
Yeah, so anyways though, for anybody that's been listening, TLDR, lots of blood, sweat, and tears went into that. But we do appreciate all this. We do have one more question here. What is that last question?
Okay, as a continuation from Immortal's question from Touhou series, do you have any experience other than Reiji?
Yeah, I have, and I have to say that game is insane. Don't play it. Like,
it's actually in that extra mode.
It's really hard, and I guess I didn't even manage to play. The easiest modes in Touhou.
And I remember playing Touhou.
Who's your favorite Touhou then?
It's Reiji.
Okay. Anyways, though, we want to thank everybody that came out. We do have to kind of wrap this one up a little bit quick. We're trying to fit that new time format. So if anybody has any questions later on, we are also open to subject ideas for group discussion. So if anybody has any of those, feel free to post those in the comment. This will be releasing a little bit later than most, so keep an eye out for it. And that is everybody from the OS Talk. And we're going to sign out. So we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thank you really much.
See ya.